If you're into dark, heavy music that doesn't shy away from controversy, this video might be just for you. In this video, I will take you into the swamplands of the far south, where a small band can be found that managed to accumulate a cult following since its inception. The band created a sound that is both heavy and hauntingly melodic. However, the influence is not only felt in their music but also in their writings and imagery. In 1994, Acid Bad released their debut album When the Kite String Pops, which became quite a controversial album due to its inclusion of a very infamous painting by a serial killer. Tracks like The Blue and Scream of the Butterfly show their ability to blend brutality with melody seamlessly. Later it was even revealed that this band was the influence of a small band from Iowa known to some as Slipknot, at least according to the wiki. Sadly, the band's story was cut short due to tragic events that led to their breakup. Their impact, even if short-lived, is still felt today, as there is still a following alive and well. Now I just want to say a huge thanks to all the fans of the band who left a comment on my disturbing album covers video. The sheer amount of the comments left me stunned, so that's why I want to honor the band and you, my dear divers, by diving into the trouble and tragic history of Acid Bad.
Nobody wanted to give two pisses for us, when we came out, when we toured and stuff, it started taking off a little bit, but it was still really discouraging at the time. Then it was like after we broke up is when took off, and it's insane.
Before we delve into the history of Acid Bad, it is important to understand how they gained popularity in the first place and what made them stand out from the vast array of bands that dominated the 90s. The 1980s were dominated by two major trends in metal: glam or hair metal, with bands like Motley Crue, Poison or Twisted Sisters. But there were also the bands that capitalized on the American satanic panic, using dark imagery and occult themes to generate controversy and attention. However, as the 1990s began, glam metal quickly fell out of favor. The rise of grunge, led by Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, made the flashy party-driven aesthetics of glam metal seem a bit outdated. At the same time, the extreme metal scene underground was thriving, while many of the shock value-driven satanic bands of the 80s started to fade. A new wave of black metal bands started to emerge, including Mayhem, Bathory and Dark Throne, gaining momentum in the underground scene, keeping the dark and aggressive aesthetic very much alive. This new wave of heavy music in the 1990s took a more personal and introspective approach. Instead of glorifying excess and rebellion like their predecessors, many bands tried to explore themes of depression, guilt, substance abuse, and social critics.
The whole sludge thing and the whole black metal thing, it's not about perfection. And it's holding there and you're holding a fucking switchblade in your hand. It's like, should I do it or should I not? It's like, all right, there's no hope in your life. There's nothing left to live for. What do I do now? And that is the eternal question.
A prime example is Nirvana's song Polly, which recounts the horrific real-life cases of a 14-year-old girl who was abducted, tortured and raped while returning from a punk rock concert. The song Daddy from Korn also comes here to mind. And this brings us to Acid Bad, which emerged not in New Orleans as many believe.
When Acid Bad started, there was already an established scene here. We were basically considered outsiders, because we weren't from the New Orleans area. We didn't know anybody that was here. We were basically strangers. And we had to basically force our way into the scene.
As guitarist Sammy Duet clarified this in a 1990s interview by saying, "We are from Iowa, the swamps as far south as you can go. That's where we are from, until you hit the water."
But it was nothing but us, and just like shrimpers and welders and stuff like that.
The inception of Acid Bad can be traced back to the merge of two local bands, one of them being Dark Carnival featuring Sammy Duet and Audi Pitre, and Golgotha with Dex Riggs and Mike Sanchez. From this fusion, Acid Bad was born in 1991. Influenced by thrash metal, as well as bands and artists such as Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper, Celtic Frost, Carcass and Darkthrone. They managed to blend their favorite bands together, creating a sound that was truly their own. They had sludge and death metal growls, but combined with grunge vocals, sometimes even adding acoustic guitars to the mix. But they didn't stop there, as their songs would often start with sludge metal riffs, which later evolved into a punkish sound. Plus, their love for deep topics and poetry made Acid Bath truly stand on their own. Their unique style put them in a very weird position that didn't fit into any single movement, which is a part of why they remained an underground cult band rather than a mainstream sensation. In 1993, Acid Bath recorded the demo Hymns of the Needle Freak with their manager and producer Keith Felgot. The demo's raw intensity and power caught the attention of Rotten Records, a small independent label which ultimately signed the band. However, their partnership proved to be more of a hindrance than a benefit. Over the years, Rotten Records has aggressively taken down Acid Bath's music from YouTube, making it difficult for fans to access their albums online. As a result, when searching for their songs on YouTube, you mostly find live recordings or clips uploaded by the fans, with official studio albums being noticeably absent. But I need to add they added one album on Spotify. But back to 1994, when they finally released their first debut album, When the Kite String Pops, which was produced by Spike Cassidy. To elaborate on the themes of the album, we can look at the 2002 DVD in the Double Live bootleg, where Dex Riggs stated that the song Tranquilized was about getting high and escaping reality, while Cheap Vodka was described as being about getting wasted, killing things, blood, sex and blasphemy. On the other hand, Toubabo Kumi, meaning Land of the White Cannibals in Cajun French, was the only Acid Bath song to receive a musical video. According to Sammy Duet, the alligator featured in this video also ended up beating someone's face, but I can't confirm this. Now, despite these few songs being quite raw and intense, let's say, I wanted to select a song which I mentioned in the intro, called Scream of the Butterfly. This is a prime example of how they shift their sound when they need. It's probably one of their most haunting and melancholic songs, showing their ability to blend beauty with darkness. It's a slower, more atmospheric track compared to the usual sludge-heavy sounds, with a dreamlike quality that makes it stand out in the album. The song is heavily influenced by grunge and gothic rock, with clean and almost hypnotic vocals from Dex Riggs. The instruments are also soft and melodic, featuring clean guitars. The song tells us a story of a tragic, surreal story of a woman caught in a downward spiral of addiction, abuse, and unwanted pregnancy. But even though this is a highly disturbing and controversial theme, we need to shift our focus on the album cover, which follows the similar fashion. If you watch my video about disturbing album covers, you know what's coming. And that's the album cover with Pogo the Clown. This clown was painted by one of the most infamous serial killers in US history, John Wayne Gacy, tortured, raped and murdered over 30 young men. And at the time when the album was coming out, he was on death row and later executed that same year. He has truly done some unspeakable things to those young boys. And yes, John Wayne Gacy did dress as this clown and would perform at children parties. How haunting is that?
I 33 times. You're only gonna kill me once. Gacy outsmarted him again.
So for unknown reasons, probably because of the shock value, the producer of the band decided to force this album cover onto the band. Later, Dex stated he completely hated this idea. Even though not reaching any mainstream success, they still managed to sell around 36,000 copies. It was still higher than the average for a band with no publicity and released exclusively on an independent label.
It freaks me out as how many people know about that band with what we had to deal with as far as the little bit of promotion that was put into the band, as big as it got because of that. I guess it's like a good example of a word of mouth band.
Just 2 years later, they released their second and final album, Pagan Terrorism Tactics, once again produced by Keith Falgout. While neither albums achieved any mainstream success, both gained a significant underground recognition and a dedicated cult following. Also in 2005, a compilation album titled Demos from 1993 to 1996 was released featuring a collection of their early records. But back to the Pagan Terrorism Tactics. This was Acid Bath's final album released in 1996, with once again featuring some abstract art. The album cover was painted by Dr. Jake Kevorkian, who was an American pathologist and euthanasia proponent. He would publicly tell people that they have the right to die if it's assisted by a professional, and he embedded the quote, "Die is not a crime." This doctor stated he assisted over at least 130 patients to their end. He was convicted of murder in 1999 and was often portrayed in the media with the name of Dr. Death. And because of that, this album was even banned for a short time in Australia. The lyrics on Pagan Terrorism Tactics highlight Dex's dark humor and poetic style. Pagan Love Song was inspired by a trip to Florida Beach, where the band was offered angel trumpets, a powerful deliriant to put it simply. Dex recalled the trip lasting for days, with lines like "God, it felt so goddamn good today," referencing the delirious state upon waking up. This album would also experiment with different sounds and influences. Greyflower is a haunting slow track with eerie guitar riffs and a drone-like sorrow that sets a dark and atmospheric tone. The lyrics explore themes of death and decay with a strange sense of beauty, let's say, like emerging from death. It's hard to describe. While the songs like 13 Fingers and New Corpse are completely on the opposite side of the spectrum, incorporating black metal elements. Also, little fun fact here, while in Mexico, the band originally planned to use a reverse negative photo of a decapitated animal for the album cover, but they would later choose the album cover painted by the Doctor. The band played their final gig on December 14, 1996 at Texas Billiard, which was actually a club in Arlington owned by Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell. After releasing 2 studio albums, Acid Bath's career tragically ended on January 23, 1997, when bassist Audi Pitre and his parents were killed by a drunk driver who ran a stop sign. Audi's brother Kelly Pitre was the only survivor who escaped with broken ribs and with a mild neck fracture. Rumors of their third album surfaced after the band's breakup, but nothing ever was released. Sammy Duet owns a tape of himself and Mike Sanchez working on riffs for a possible new album, but in an interview with Does It Doom, Sammy would mention that the tape was labeled Rat Poison after a random comment during a rehearsal. Some speculated that these riffs were later used for Goat Horse's debut album, but this was also later proven false. After Acid Bath disbanded, the members pursued various projects. Dex Riggs and Mike Sanchez formed Agents of Oblivion, releasing a self-titled album in 2000 before going apart. Riggs also later led a swamp rock band called Dead Boy and the Elephant Man before launching his solo career in 2007. Sammy Duet was briefly in a band called Chrome Bar and later joined Goat Horror, Retro Killer and Vowl, a doom metal band with Kelly Pitre. I also found out that Duet has remained an open Satanist since the time in Acid Bath.
It's like a lot of people say that you're not born into it, you're attracted to it naturally. Something struck me there where it just felt like I was going home.
I also want to add that before passing, Audi also formed a band called Shroom in 1995, a metal band quite unique for the dual bass sound with no guitars. In 2014, rumors of Acid Bath reunion surfaced when Jimmy Kyle reached out to Slipknot's Corey Taylor searching for a vocalist. However, other band members shot this speculation down, stating that Acid Bath could not exist without Audi Pitre.
Is there any chance of you guys ever getting back together? Acid Bath, Agents of Oblivion, Dead Boy, any of those bands?
I mean, I would do some Agents of Oblivion songs and maybe even some Acid Bath songs. I wouldn't rule out that I wouldn't do them, but no, we definitely wouldn't get back together as that complete thing. For Acid Bath, it would be impossible.
They did acknowledge the possibility of future tributes, but nothing was officially planned. Yet, in the end, many think there is no Acid Bath without Audi, and Dex even later stated how the whole band was stringed together by Audi. plus giving a later interview about how he slowly wanted to get out of the band and pursue new adventures in the music world. But as of February of this year, Acid Bath has reunited and announced several performances for this year. The lineup featuring original members Dex Riggs on vocals, Sammy Pierre duet guitar, Mike Sanchez guitar, and joined by Zach Simmons on drums and Alex Berengen on bass. Their reunion tour includes the festival appearance at Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival in Columbus, Ohio, Welcome to Rockville in Daytona Beach, Florida, and a few more. These performances mark the band's return to the stage after a 28-year hiatus, so the fans can once again enjoy their music live, and perhaps there is a new album on the way, but we just don't know about it.